Hey guys, welcome to this month's live. I didn't get any questions answers in advance this week. That's okay though. I am sure that people will come on and ask questions and we will cover them. You can ask me about travel, me, Greece, wherever. Wherever you think that I might have been, please ask questions. So please say hello. If you come in at any time, tell me where you're joining me from. I do have a question for you guys, though. If you watched last week's video about Danusa, um, how come none of you pointed out the fact that at one point I had chocolate on my face from my breakfast? I noticed it during editing, and there was nothing I could do about it. Hello, Serbia. And I couldn't really edit it out, and I'm not skilled enough with editing to like fix it. So I just had to live with the footage of me with chocolate on my face. So hello, West Yorkshire. So, yeah, I noticed that, and nobody has said anything in any of the comments. Like nobody's like, "Hey, what's on your face?" or whatever. Or maybe you guys just knew it was chocolate, but it was hilarious to me that like no one in the over 2,000 people that have now watched the video have said anything about the fact that I had chocolate on my face in the video. So you guys are either really, really nice, or you think I just have some weird spots on my face. Hello from Denver. So, like I said, if you have questions about travel, if you have questions about me or Greece, please let me know. We had a bit of a heat wave last week in here in Athens, and then this week it's been nice and cool. Like I needed a jacket today, even though I didn't have one. What is my plan for rental winter travel? Why can I not talk today? I don't have any plans for winter travel other than going to the States for Christmas. Um, it could change, but right now I'm just hanging out. I go to the States for like 2 months, so I tend to not go anywhere. Now, last year when I went home, I went to New York City in January. So there's a possibility I might go somewhere while I'm in that side of the world because it's obviously a lot easier than from over here. So, but I just like I normally have booked my ticket to the US by now, and I only booked it like a week ago. So, so I haven't planned that far ahead, and I'm not a very big planner when it comes to travel. So, why are you pausing travel for 6 months? So, oh, Ruth, I'm so glad. Maybe nobody noticed. Maybe it was just me that noticed the chocolate on my face. So, hello from California. Nice to see you. Uh, oh, no worries. Well, go back and look for the chocolate on my face. It's in the Danusa video from last week. Maybe you'll spot it. Now that I've mentioned it, you'll probably see it. Kalispera. Um, it depends on whether or not you want us to swim while you're here, because like I mentioned, it's already gotten cool today. Though it doesn't mean that the water isn't still warm. Like I read in an Access forum yesterday that people said that the water was still warm. But you may want to limit where you go because like Danusa, everything was closing while I was there. So places like Naxos, Syros, if you want to go to like a bigger island, Crete, Rhodes, Corfu, I don't Santorini might still be open if it's fall, like if it was now or like early November. But Santorini will start to kind of die down and restaurants will close as well. So like um, the Cyclades are good, but like also the Argos Ceronics, so like Egina, Agistri, Hydra, Poros, Spetses, like the ones that are closer to Athens tend to be a little bit busier in the winter. Sometimes the ferry schedule though gets a little bit less, so you have to do a little bit more advanced planning, not in the sense that you have to buy things in advance, you just have to look to see if there's actually gonna be a ferry on the days that you wanna do things, so it's not impossible, just takes more planning. Hello, Chicago. Uh, that makes sense, like, it's sometimes if you travel a lot and then you get kinda burnt out on it, so yeah, ammonia is actually getting, like, at least in my opinion, less and less scary. I go through there a lot more lately. I've been like today, I was in just transferring from a bus to the metro, and it's hopping there. Like it's busy. There are tons of people, and now that they've built all these hotels around it, it might end up changing the neighborhood for the better. So that might be what you're seeing. So yeah, roads would be good for this time of year because the water is fairly warm still down there. Crete as well. Coast might be as well because they are fairly close to roads. So, oh, okay. Yeah, see, I think this was my experience in Denusa. Like when you first got in, it was a little bit cold, but then it felt really nice. So, hello, Napflio. I hope you're enjoying it and you haven't had any more travel snafus. The ferry schedule is generally the same from year to year. It depends on which like ferry line. Some, if you're going to like a really remote island, they might get more or less because sometimes the government will subsidize a ferry route for the year to that particular island. So it kind of depends on that. Let's see, for May, I would imagine they'll be out in like March, um, because Orthodox Easter is the same as Catholic Easter this year, which is like April 20th, I believe. And usually the ferry schedules are out by then. What you can do is check openseas.gr for last year's ferry schedule. I will type that here in the comments just to give you an idea of what ran this year. Uh, in Poros is pretty quiet. Um, hotels and things are open, but I was there in June. Yeah, in June was still pretty quiet. It's just not a very hopping. I think it's a lot of people that come to Poros are on sailboats, and that's about it. There are some really nice beaches on the other part of the island away from the ferry, but there really isn't public transportation. Um, so I think that's part of it why it's kind of holding itself back, and maybe they're doing it on purpose. Like, not all these islands wanna be, super touristy. Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Mike. So, um, yeah, I really like if you want a quiet island that's close to Athens, it's a nice spot, especially if you like people watching. They have like my hotel that I stayed in Poros had a great view of the seafront. I really enjoy it because I like watching the boats go by and all the sailboats come in, and I walked up and down that seafront like several times. But it's pretty quiet. There really isn't a lot going on. There are some hiking trails, which, if you watch that video, I hurt my foot like literally as I was walking out the door, so I couldn't do any walking while I was there. So if you guys have watched me for any length of time, you know that I'm kind of klutzy and I tend to hurt myself, and it always seems to happen either while I'm on a trip or right before I'm about to leave. And it doesn't matter like how cautious I am, it still happens. So next week's video, you're gonna hear me talk about the fact that I fell down the stairs in Singtung Square the other day. So now that was not necessarily my fault. Well, maybe it was. My shoes were kind of slick, and it was the main stairs down from like the Parliament building down to like where the metro is and the fountain. And I just like must have hit the edge of like the step because they're kind of rounded, and I could feel it like happening. So like I caught myself So I didn't like fall down on my face, thank goodness, otherwise we probably wouldn't be doing this live. But it hurt. And then my fingers hurt as well because I caught myself because I have a camera in my other hand and I caught myself like this. So all these fingers like got bent and so thank you. Thank you. Greetings, neighbor from Why can I never say Paleo Vario? I can say it together, but I can't just say that one word. Anyway. So yeah, so I fell down the stairs. And of course, all these nice people came running over to me. There was an American tourist who was like, "Oh my gosh, are you okay?" And a young Greek man came running over to me. So I wasn't really embarrassed. Like I see people fall here all the time because of the stupid marble sidewalks and staircases. But I was like, I knew it was going to hurt, and it kind of still does. Like it is what it is, though. So I've tried to be more cautious, but I'm just klutzy. I kind of always has been. Never serious though. Like never anything. Like I don't even think I've never broken like an arm or a leg. And it's so funny because people are like, "Oh, why don't you like ski?" And I'm like, "Because that's asking for me to die." So I don't do that. We have a question and I'm having trouble. I have been to Mavro Provato in Pancrati. I have not been to the Black Cat, but I do know that the bookstore that's over there recommends it as well, and I need to go and visit it on at Mavro Provato, which is those of you who don't know, the black sheep is Mavro Provato. They have an amazing cleftico. Like I go there just for that sometimes. It's that good. They serve it in um like baking paper. So it's like made in it and it has all these like vegetables inside of it and the sauce makes it like and it just falls apart. Like it's amazing. So I actually have a video on Pancrati and Metz and I eat there. So if you want to see what it is, you can go back to my channel and look for the Pancrati video because I go eat at the Black Sheep. So yeah. But the Black Cat is supposed to also be good. And that bookstore is amazing. Hello, hello. Thank you for joining Poofy Puff. I'm trying to practice my Greek more, and I think I know how to say things, and then I try to say them out loud, and it's not what it sounds like in my brain. So as I'm taking more and more Greek lessons, I obviously start to understand more, and I'm trying to do more in Greek, and like half the time people respond to me in English because they're like, foreigner. The good thing is, at least here in Greece, compared to some other European countries who shall remain nameless, Greeks are super supportive of people trying to learn Greek. Like they were like, no, no, go slowly. We will, they're super patient with you. Like most people want you to speak in Greek if you can. And so the nice thing is people are like super supportive. So so that's nice. Like I feel like even though I feel stupid, they like Greek people don't, well, some of my Greek friends laugh at me, but like strangers don't laugh at me. Were the tiny islands of Danusa and Scudusa too small for an extended stay? Um Depends on whether or not you need lots of things to do. And also what time of year you're there. Danusa has a little bit more happening. Particularly at night. They have a lot more restaurants and bars and things on their main street. Now, I don't know what it's like in the off season in Skanusa, but when I was in Danusa, the season was kind of ending. And when I left, there were only 3 restaurants open. The coffee shop had closed in the morning. They were open at night for like a bar. And I think there was a bar open. The bakery was still open, but also the ferry schedule is super limited. So if you're happy to sit around and do nothing, they're both fine. The good thing about both of them is they would be great for like hiking and walking around. So that's the good option. I'm really good at being by myself and kind of on my own, but that's me. If you need things to do more than maybe once a week, it may not be. But the nice thing about Danusa is that, and Skanusa too, is like every place that I stayed in, well, not the place in Skanusa. And like I had a hard time finding a place that was affordable in Skanusa to be able to stay longer. In fact, that's why I only stayed 2 nights, but it was also the high season. So, and I didn't ever find a place in Skanusa that had a kitchen. So that was kind of difficult. Like in Danusa, most places had like a small kitchenette. So I was able to make a few dinners and I made lunch and breakfast every day. So depends on what you want. Yeah, sometimes it they do it because they wanna practice their English as well, so I kind of get it. So we have this half-half conversation, which is fine. Um, but at least they're nice about it. So and a lot of Greeks speak, like, Greeklish, like, in the sense that even when they're speaking to their friends, like, they'll say English words. Um, it's just, it's from TV and movies and things, so Oh, where did you take the cooking class? That would be interesting, especially now that I'm kind of not traveling at the moment. That might be something interesting to look into. I do not. Maybe some other people do, because I have not been to Crete or Rhodes. So if any of you have been there and have hotel suggestions, please let Julie know. Yeah. This is interesting because sometimes I will start speaking to people in Greek a little bit, and then they start to really go, and I'm like, "Oh, siga siga milao ligo Ellenica," and they're like, "You just said a whole sentence to me in Greek." So, yeah, sometimes if I think that they don't speak any English, I just don't speak to them in Greek at all because it just leads to more trouble. um, But, like, in Danusa, there was this older gentleman that I ran into twice, and between my broken Greek and his very little English, we had a nice conversation, and I saw him again, he recognized me, and he introduced me to his dog. So, yes, Danusa is very small, but you can spend a long period of time there. I was there for a week. I would have stayed longer if I could have, but I had to get back to Athens for various reasons. But I really enjoyed the peace and quiet. I probably would have done a little bit more hiking. I would have gone back to Kedros Beach and walked up the other side. There's a windmill, like an old broken down windmill, and I would have walked up to there because the hiking was pretty decent. Like it wasn't, yes, it was like steep, but it wasn't scary. And I don't like heights. I don't know any like the Americans I do know do live here permanently, so yes. Um, but a lot of those people have their other, like, various reasons for wanting to live here. I don't know many people who are like, "Oh, no, I'm gonna move to Greece because I fell in love with it." Like, most people who moved here for, like, um, a partner, they're Greek American, or I have another set of friends who used to live in another country in the EU and they can't stay there anymore. So they moved here on a golden visa. So, but they love it. Like now that they're here, they love it. So, um, some of the older, like much older Greeks don't speak English, but you'll be surprised. Like the old man in Danusa, like I was shocked that he knew any English at all. Um, and a lot of older, especially older Greek men know English because they worked on ships in their younger days, like in an like a like cargo type ship. And so they've been to America a lot because they traveled, with their jobs as when they were younger. Like a lot of older Greek men that I meet, for some reason, taxi drivers. But they're, oh yeah, yeah, I've been to Texas, I've been to Houston. It's because they worked on a ship, so it makes sense, especially for the men. But yeah, if you meet a yaya on the island, they may not speak. Like there's this one lady who I can think of, who I know her name and everything. She used to speak to me in Greek every time I walk by, and I would tell her I don't speak Greek, and she would even invite me in for a coffee, and I was just like, "What are we going to talk about?" Super sweet. Okay, good to know. And you booked it on Viator, so um, that's good to know. Thank you. They s Yeah, sometimes they do that. My problem is I don't know enough verbs, but I'm learning more now. Obviously, I'm taking Greek lessons, but and if you ask, like, the way that things get conjugated, I don't always understand. Like, if it's in the past, I don't know those words yet. I only know the present tense and somewhat the future tense, but if you ask me, "Where did you go yesterday?" I'm like, "I don't know what you're asking me." So, like, because 'cause I'm not to that point yet in the lessons learning the past tense either, so the grammar in Greek is killing me. Hello. Um, would I buy property basically in Greece? I do want to buy a place somewhere at some point, but it will not be, like, to rent out or anything, it will be for my own personal use. I am not a person who wants to manage real estate. I don't wanna deal with people and tenants and all that, like, it's too much of a hassle for me, and I also think that to some degree, reselling apartments or real estate here in Greece is difficult. It's a long process, and because I'm single and I don't have children, and I seriously doubt that my relatives are going to, uh, ever wanna move to Greece or use the property, it then becomes, "What do I do with this property when I'm gone?" 'Cause that's gonna create a whole whole 'nother level of frustration. So personally, me, I don't want to. I have friends here that do. They own 2 or 3 apartments, and, you know, I think they're gonna rent one out on Airbnb, so but not for me. It's just too much of a headache. I like the simple life. I don't mind working, it's not a big deal. My job is not difficult, and this is part of my job, so, I get to talk to you guys. Greek men in general don't flirt with me that much, and I'm not sure, like, what that is because I hear people talk about it all the time, and I don't know if it's because I'm blonde and maybe they realize I'm foreign and so they don't think that I know Greek. Like, I don't know, I've never been able to figure that out. Greek men stare, but I don't know if that's because it's, a stare of, "Oh, whatever," or if it's just a general, like, interest stare, so I'm also sort of oblivious to people, like, not because I want to be, but because I'm very much like, I'm walking down the street and, like, I usually have my headphones in, like, today I was on the metro, I was listening to a podcast, so, like, if someone was looking at me, I wouldn't notice. It's probably why I'm still single. Uh, I don't know. I haven't traveled out of Greece since they've announced this, so I don't know, and obviously it's not ready until November, so I don't know, but I'll let you know when I go through in December what they do. It'll be different for me because I have a residence permit, but, I'm getting a new passport. My passport is being renewed, like, as we speak, so it'll be interesting to see if they stamp it when I leave. I'll be honest, I'm gonna be sad that the stamps are leaving. So, my current passport has some amazing stamps in it, like, I've had it for 10 years, and I have, like, the big thick one, and, like, some of the pages are just completely full, and, like, I mean, they give it back to you, but I'm gonna miss the stamps, so I'm gonna have to travel outside the EU to get any passport stamps from now on. The Western I've been to Corfu, Paxos, and I've sailed around Antipaxos. So Ithaca is supposed to be beautiful. Kefalonia, the beaches are supposed to be beautiful. I've sailed past Lefkada, which is really interesting. Also has beautiful beaches. It's a very different feel to the Aegean Islands. They are greener. Um, they're still rocky, but tend to be a little bit more, I don't know, steep, but they have a lot more greenery. The houses are very different looking. It feels very Italian in a lot of ways. It's not, I like them. Um, they're still not my favorites though. I don't know why. I feel like I'm in Italy and I just, I don't know. I like the ones over here. So Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do like the green aspect of the Ionian. The first time I came to Greece, I was like, "Why are there no trees?" So, um, yeah, it's kind of interesting. I was like and then I figured out why, and now I've grown to love it, so I think that that's a lot of it is that people are just afraid to come and talk to someone who is so looks so different from them and is obviously foreign, so, um, you know, and I don't have probably the nicest face when I'm not smiling, right? So, anyway. I don't actually get German a lot, even though I'm super short, which surprises people when they meet me. Um, I think people think I'm tall, but I'm not. And so I think a lot of people think I'm Dutch because, and also my last name is a Dutch last name, even though I'm not Dutch. So, and I think that's how a lot of people think I'm here. I think a lot of Greek people think that I must have an EU passport. So, because they don't ask me like, well, how are you here? They just assume that I have like an EU passport, which I don't. So, oh, oh, nice. That probably means they had to go back to Athens though from Hydra and then go to Naxos and Milos. That's the only thing that I really not that I don't like, but that is frustrating that I can see that other people get confused by that they can't go from one island chain to another, especially if it's the first time they're coming here. And not that I think that needs to change, and I don't think it ever will. But I just wish more people understood that. Like, I see these people that are like, I want to go to Santorini and I want to go to Kefalonia. And I'm like, do you have 2 weeks? Because they don't realize how far apart things are. So, which is funny because a lot of it's Americans and they know how big America is, so I'm like, Greece is kind of spread out, like, it's not like some smaller, country like Spain, even though it's not a huge country, it's spread out, so I love the small Cycladic islands, like, I haven't been to one yet that I haven't liked, like, um, I think I've been to all the inhabited ones now. That was kind of my aim with going to Danusa, and, like, if you asked me at the time which one was my favorite, I'd probably say the one I'm on. So I really liked Heraclea. It was nice and quiet. The beach, not the beach. I mean, the beach in town was nice, but the beach, like the one next to town, was amazing and was like perfect for swimming. Like it got deep fairly quickly, and it was even though we had waves, it was still not like with a current, so you didn't feel like you were fighting it. It was amazing. I ended up staying there most of the day, which I'm not a person that likes to stay at the beach all day. So it was it was amazing. Skanusa beaches weren't amazing, but I only went to, like, one. Um, but I loved the nightlife, like, the main path that they have through town. They close it to cars like a lot of islands do in the summer. People are just out walking up and down the streets, talking to each other, cats were out, like, it was just really it felt very, like you're seeing still a traditional Greek island where people who live on the island come out and aren't avoiding it because there are tourists around. Like, even though there were quite a bit of tourists, Skanusa has changed since I went there the first time and it was dead. And now it's this thriving little island. So hello. So yeah, it's not even a visa. This EES is like it's gonna be an electronic stamping system, so they won't stamp passports anymore. Um, I guess it's to eliminate some waiting time at the at the line. I don't really know. And then there's this chain, this ESTA, I think it's called, and that keeps getting pushed back. Now it will stop getting pushed back, and they will do that. And it's not really a visa. It's basically just like letting the EU know that you're coming. And the good thing is it's good for 3 years. So like, and it's cheap. It's like €8 or something. So it's not a big deal. That I'm gonna have to do research about because supposedly because I'm a resident, I won't need that. So yes, Zakynthos also has amazing beaches, but I think it's more touristy than some of the other Ionian islands. Like it gets a lot of British tourists, as far as I know. And I think they do go there to party a little bit. So I like you were suggesting stay out of the main tourist areas, like maybe do it for a night or two and then go stay somewhere else because I do think it can get really crowded there. So, no worries. I do that too. Like because I work at home and what I do at my job is very tedious and kind of it's important, but it can be a little bit mind numbing. I listen to a lot of stuff. Like I listen to podcasts a lot and I listen to a lot of YouTubers that don't have to like watch them. Like I can just listen to them. So I have only sailed past Lefkada twice actually. Um, yeah, I need to go, but what I think I'd like to do is drive there because you can drive to Lefkada because they have this bridge that crosses the canal that can move. It's like a ship basically, and it moves and then moves back into place. So I've actually seen it when it was an actual ship. Like it had this like road built into it, and it was flat, and there was like this whole thing above because the one that they had was being repaired. And then last year when it through, it's just a road that moves. Just wild to me. And which is fun to experience when you're on a sailboat and you're trying to get through the canal before that thing closes. I have not been to Amorgos, but I'm seriously considering Amorgos for Easter. Um, a Greek teacher who loves Danusa says that a lot of times he does Amorgos for Easter. And I was looking at videos the other day to see what it was like, and it looks spectacular. So we'll see. I have actually booked some. Well, you know what? Come to think of, somebody was asking me on winter travel, and I'm like lying to you. Not really. I just forgot. I have a little note up here. I've booked a hotel in the northern part of Greece in March because there is a almond blossom festival that happened. No, I'm getting that wrong. A peach blossom festival. I even have it says for peach blossom festival. And I found about it last year, but it was too late to go. Like it was already like blooming and all the hotels booked. But there aren't a lot of hotels in this area, so I went and booked a hotel and I've made it where it was like a refundable one. So that way if I change my mind, but I'm hoping to do that. I just have to figure out how I'm getting there because it's up near Thessaloniki. So, but yes, Amorgos is in the running for Greek Easter. So yeah, we would need a lot more. And we would need a lot more ferries and a lot more people running the ferries. All the country would do is run ferries. And I think they would be really long, like more than 12 hours for some of these. Really? I see, I've been to them, but Tinos and Kythnos seem really small. Although I do think Tinos probably has a larger year-round population for whatever reason, but Kythnos seems so small to have enough people there that there will not be open. But that's interesting to know. Yes, I have many times. And the nice thing about it is you just walk in. There's no fee, and it's beautiful in there, especially if you're here in Athens in the summer and you need a break from the heat. Because it's usually about 5 degrees cooler in there because of all the plants. So it's spectacular. And the buildings inside there, the Zapion Hall is nice. And I think they're going to reopen the summer cinema there. They were working on it this year. It looked like it was going to open, but I wasn't sure and I never went back by. And but that cinema is really nice. So I don't have a plan to go back to Thessaloniki anytime soon, but the fact that I have plans for next March is sort of shocking. So I'm not much of a planner. Never say never. So not really. I mean, I've been to Meteora in the winter, but it wasn't really that cold anymore. It was like March. So I'm not really here in the winter, and that's part of the reason that I haven't been to a lot of places. Like there's great skiing around the country, like Arakova near Delphi is nice. The Peloponnese has great skiing. So, um, you know, Sorry, guys, I've got to turn on the fan. I closed the windows before we got on this, and it's suddenly getting very stuffy in here. I also closed the windows because my neighbor's dog has been barking like for 2 days, and I wasn't sure if you'd be able to hear it, but of course, fortunately, right as I was getting on, I think they took him inside. So, um, maybe the Turkish delights. I'm not sure where you would get them in the States. I've never had them there. I'm not a huge fan. I had them in Turkey and I was like, well, that's interesting. So I would say any of those small Cycladic islands, like they're going to be less busy just because they're so small. Because when I was in Iraklia and Skanusa this summer, I was there in July and there was no one there. I mean, there were people there, but it wasn't crowded. So the only thing is on the smaller islands, there aren't really organized beaches, like in the sense that they have um, like umbrellas and chairs and stuff, which I like. It doesn't bother me, but if that's something you want, they don't have those. But yeah, those are the two, probably even Danusa. Um, so yeah, those would be my suggestions because they're not as well traveled. People just don't know about them. Yes, this is true. And maybe that's why that person is suggesting, was it you, that Tinos is good in the off season because the mountain villages in Tinos are amazing. And of course, they're not going to close in the summer and they're beautiful, like they're stunning. And the views from the mountain villages are amazing, but do have to be sort of brave when it comes to driving the roads to the mountain villages. So yes, Philippapu is great. And like I live near it. Well, I basically live under it. And a lot of times, I go walking in there all the time and I find new stuff all the time. So it's great. Um, I am not a fan of the beaches around Athens. Now I haven't been to these two. So maybe somebody else can comment. Other people do like them. People go out there all the time. I just don't like the beaches in Athens. They're not super dirty or anything. They just feel very city beach like. So not always the best experience. So um it's also difficult for me. Like I would have to get on a really long bus to go out there. So I'd rather just get on a ferry. So neither, because I don't like milk. I don't like sugar. I take my coffee black. So I'm not really. I've tried a frappe. I was awake for like 2 days. So I tend to not get those. I also don't like cold coffee. Like it's ugh, I don't like it. So yeah, so you may take my offers of what my favorite coffee shops are with a grain of salt because they may not have what you like. Um, one of my favorites is it's called Little Tree Bookshop. It's actually a bookstore that has a coffee shop. They also have other stuff. Um, it's this beautiful setting. It's near the Acropolis Museum. Sometimes hard to get a table there though. So another one that I like that is currently closed is Kinono, which is in Kukaki, but they're renovating. So um, let's see. Where else? I was just thinking of a place and it went out of my head. Well, a place that's really a brunch place, but also has really good coffee is Calimeras in Siri. So I really, really, I went back over there the other day for the first time in a while, and yeah, it's it's really good. So my favorite Slovakia. Okay, so it's not my favorite thing to eat. I will eat it. I don't tend to eat it in Athens very often. I tend to eat it when I'm on the islands. But there's a place called Chicken Chef here in Kukaki, and theirs is really good. Like it's always fresh, and their sauce is like I get chicken, so I get it with sauce, and theirs is always really good. Like it's not dry. Sometimes I go to Slovakia places and everything seems super dry. It's probably why I don't like it very much, because like, but I probably just haven't eaten at the right places. Now, there's a place called Elvis's over in Karami Coast that people recommend. I think it's called Elvis, or is it Kostas? I can't remember. There are two really famous Slovakia places, and yeah, I need to try those. So, but if you have recommendations, I'm happy to hear them and try them. Yes, how to keep the problem is it's just far for, me. Like, I guess I would have to fly to Thessaloniki and then rent a car. So, I do. I don't plan on leaving. Why? I really like it here. Like, I have not lived in the US permanently in a really long time. This is the third foreign country I've lived in. Um, and I have lots of friends, but none of them live in like a specific location. So it doesn't really make sense for me to go to a place because I have friends there, because there would be like two, maybe one. um, so and before Greece, I had considered trying to figure out if I could move to Italy. And so when I came here and I was like, no, no, this is the place for me. Like, I love being near the sea. Even though I don't live near the sea in Athens, it's super close comparatively to where I'm from, the States. So, yeah, no, in fact, that's why I'm taking the Greek lessons. In a couple of years, I'll be eligible to take the citizenship exam. So, wish me luck. But yeah, I love it here. I love the lifestyle. I like that everything is more laid back than in the US. So it just feels more comfortable. The first time I ever came to Greece was in 2016 on a sailing trip. I came here on a 2-week sailing holiday in September. And we started in Athens and we went to the Saronics and then we went to the Cyclades and then we came back, which I try to go sailing all the time now. Like, I don't know how to sail, but I've made a friend that comes and sails and I go with him a lot and I love it. So I'm confused. What's involved to permanent? She's a permanent resident of Ibiza. Um, it would really depend on your situation. Like, do you have Greek heritage? Does somebody have a EU passport? That sort of thing. I'm here on a very different visa. I'm here on a financially independent visa, so it's like if you're retired, which obviously I'm not, but I was able to get in before they started being really strict about the rules, and so like have money in savings, and they've been accepting that. So yeah, I haven't, but I've seen lots of ads for it. So, but I haven't been there yet. It's not really close to my house, so I don't know if it's nice yet. But I think it's only been open for like a year. I think it opened last summer or so. Street Slovakia up until 3 a.m. Okay, where is that? Hmm. I'm not going to Google it right now, despite my inherent, you know, need to look things up. So no worries. Hi, welcome. You joined. Thank you. Thank you. I'm I feel like I'm never going to get there, and I feel like that the Greek is really hard, but my teacher says I'm making progress. Maybe she's just being nice. So, not at the moment. I am hoping to do some more videos on the Peloponnese. I'm actually hoping to do that next summer. My friend that has the boat, our plan is to hopefully sail down the coast of the Peloponnese, because there's some places along that eastern side that I haven't been to. Like, I haven't been to Mambiasa. I really want to go to Elafonisi Island, or and so, and I would like to go to Kithra, but of course, the crossing from there to there, we have to see how the weather is. But yeah, and then the plan is if we do that, then we'll probably dock the boat in Epidavros and then do a few things that we can like take the bus to from there. So um yeah, I'm hoping to do that next year. Oh, how long have you got? So I just came back from Denusa and I really loved their beaches, but all of the small Cycladic islands have really beautiful beaches. So Denusa, Skinusa, Iraklia, Naxos also has beautiful beaches, Kufanisi, and then the islands in the Ionian, they all have stunning beaches like Corfu, Paxos, Lefkada, Zakynthos, all of those, Kefalonia. So yeah, all of those I highly recommend. Yes, I'm a citizen, so I'm eligible to vote in the U.S. election. So I've applied for my mail-in ballot. So hopefully they send it to me soon because I need to send it back. I think it's due back. It has to be postmarked by the 5th or something of November. So I will be voting. I always vote. Kalispera. I always vote, no matter where I'm at. So it's difficult, but I do it. Oh, okay, thank you. Oh, I know where that is, roughly. So will I ever switch over my driver's license? So I've looked into switching over my driver's license. However, it is not easy. Like they want all this documentation from your state about your US license. And I don't think that the Texas DMV is going to give that to me. So I've actually considered just taking driver's license like tests here, like taking the lessons and then just doing a Greek one. Because I don't know how to drive a manual, and it would be cheaper for me to rent a car here if it was a manual. Um, so I've considered just doing that. However, I'm already very busy. I work, I'm taking the Greek lessons and traveling. So it's like really hard to say, okay, now I'm going to add another thing that I have to do to like learn. So we'll see. I don't rent cars that often. So, um, and technically now the American driver's license is accepted here without an international driver's license. I do get one just in case I go other places, but it's not required, so it's not such a big deal. So thank you. I will have to try that out. I enjoy Exarchia, so have I been to Trick? I've driven through it. Well, I took the train through it when I went to Meteora, but I didn't stop there because I was on the train. So not really. I like traveling alone. It means I get to do what I want to do when I want to do it. Um, Also, I work. So a lot of times when I'm traveling, I'm also working. My job is fully remote, obviously. Um, so like when I was in Danusa, actually the reason I stayed in Danusa so long is because I was like, well, I can work from here, so I might as well stay. Because that means like on my lunch break, I can go to the beach. So and I also have a slightly flexible schedule. Like if I want to work, because my job is in the Middle East, so if I want to work Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, then I can. Or if I want to work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I can. So I'm lucky in that way, and I like it. So no, I don't. um, that's all I'm going to say about that. Thank you. I'm hoping that I do. I the good thing, the one thing for me about doing it is that I won't have to deal with renewing my residence permit and dealing with all of this. And then like my parents are getting older. So like if I need to go home for 6 months, like it won't affect my residency. Whereas if I try to go home for a longer period of time now, it can affect my residency. So it'll be easier to come back and forth if I need to. So I have not been to the Decathlon store, and, like, my friend that comes sailing is talking about it all the time, and I'm like, "I need to go to it," but I don't know where it is. It must be out on the western side of town near the IKEA is what I'm thinking, or it's one of the malls. But if it's like REI, I might need to go because I need a beach tent. I have a beach umbrella, but I can't put it up. So I saw these people in Denusa that had this really cool, like, you put sand in these bags and then you spread them out, and then they just had poles that you like popped, and it wasn't like you had to screw anything in. And then of course you could shift the poles depending on like where the sun was coming from. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I need because I can put that up by myself. So I'm gonna have to Google that and find out where it is. Thank you. See, you guys always teach me things too. Calispera. Yes, lucky you. I wish I had dual anywhere EU, like even if it wasn't Greece, because then I could still be here. But unfortunately, my family immigrated in like the 1800s, so it's no longer a possibility. So I've been in the US for way too long. Although I have found records of it's not my grandfather, but my uncle, not my uncle, but my great uncle immigrating through Ellis Island. So that was really cool. He came by himself and I think he had like $50 in his pocket, which actually at the time was a big deal. So yeah, you know what? What I like about going to dinner by myself, because I know a lot of people, that's one of the biggest things they struggle with. Like they feel awkward. They feel like people are staring. Let me tell you, no one is noticing that you're eating by yourself. Um, this is what I've come to discover as a person who does a lot of stuff alone is most of the time nobody's paying attention. And it's not because they're not interested in you or whatever. They're too involved in themselves to notice stuff that's happening around them. So now the waiters and the waitresses, they probably notice, but that's about it. So, but trust me, they don't really care. I always bring a book because that's just me. But I enjoy watching other people. I enjoy seeing what they're eating, how they're interacting with each other. In Tunisia, there was this couple behind me. It was very clear. They were from, I want to say Germany, maybe Austria. And it was very clear to me that the wife couldn't read English. I think she could speak English. The husband read the entire menu to her. It's kind of annoying, but also kind of sweet. So you're welcome. I'm happy to answer questions. So my job is at a university. So and my job is the only job that's remote. Well, I think there's some professors that work remotely, but um, so it's highly unlike. I mean, what I do is very unusual. So I'm I'm always the odd one out because I'm the only one working remotely, and they never know what to do with me. So what island? There's a lot of islands. So I would check Ferry Hopper or openseas.gr and see, but you should be able to go to Kefalonia and I think Zakynthos from there, and maybe even Paxos. Like if you can go to Corfu, I think you should be able to go to Paxos from there. Someone else who um, may know better because I've always been there on a sailboat. I know that makes me sound sort of hoity-toity, but I promise it's not. It's just friends that I have that happen to have sailboats. They're not big. They're not anything fancy. I'm not hanging out on a super yacht. So, see, I don't think so. But that's because I used to live in New York City. Athens is like a small village to me. Like, other than the fact that it's super spread out, it's really not. It's not. It's really not that bad here. Okay, so you're Greek. So basically, what you would need to do is come here and register her register your marriage at your local demos, and then there's a spousal visa. I think it's called like family reunification, and you do it through your local police office. So wherever wherever your family is registered, you would need to go there and register your marriage, and then register her as your spouse, and they will give her a residence permit. Um, um, but you need to do it like within that first 90 days of the EU um, like letting her in. So just make sure to do it quickly when you just do decide to come. So, but it shouldn't be an issue since you're Greek. It's as long as you have your Greek passport and your Greek ID, then you should be fine. So I don't think you can do the spousal permit in DC, but you could ask them. But I don't think they do it there. So Yes, technically they are supposed to accept it. However, I have heard of some places asking for it anyway, so it's not a bad idea to have it. So, Nessa? Nesso? Is that an island? And I'm not aware there's an island I heard of the other day that I had never heard of, and I was like, "Where is this island?" But there are like 220 inhabited. I think that I don't even know if there's an official number. It's like 227 like officially inhabited Greek islands, so I'm not going to know all of them. Oh, Nesso tents. Okay. I will look into that. Thought it was a new island I hadn't heard of. Now I'm trying to remember what that island was called. Anyway, somebody Constantina is telling you with the spouse of a Greek citizen, so the cats love that I'm eating alone because they usually end up joining me. Today, I had an appointment and I always pet these cats outside this building. And I had a coffee, so I was just sitting there with them, and because they're super sweet, even though they're strays. And the black one got in my lap and started making biscuits, and I finally had to stop him because he was putting holes in my pants. So yeah, no one really cares. Sometimes the waiters and waitresses don't know what to do with you because they have all these tables set for like multiple people. Sometimes they want to put me like in a corner or at a bar, and I don't really care. Like, I don't care. So yeah. Anyway, pulp, pulp. I've not heard of this. I'm not there. I'm in my own apartment. Yeah, they were amazing. Like it. I didn't even notice a brand. They were these other European people that were there, and I was like, "That's what I need. Those are perfect." And they looked super yeah, and they were light, like, they took them out of they had hiked to the beach in Danusa, so they had carried in their backpack, and, like, I was like now granted, the man was carrying them, but, like, for 450 grams, I can carry that. That's not heavy for me at all, so oh, thank you for Maria for coming, Yasu. Yes, please do say hello if you see me. Like some people ran into me on the ferry on the way back from Danusa, and that was really nice. So I always enjoy meeting you guys, but I don't know what you look like. So oh, okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking was that River West IKEA. So good to know. So yes, it's not even that I mind paying the fee, but they've just gotten so crazy. So um I would say that the islands that are best for that are ones that have like they're larger in population. So Corfu, Crete, the ones near Athens, Evia, Naxos, Syros. Um, I've never had English be a problem in any of the islands I've gone to, so that's not really a concern. But yeah, you want to pick places that have. I would also say picking an island with an airport. So so yeah, and as Ruth is saying, like, you can always get Google Translate if you're having trouble. Um, yeah, it's really helpful. The pronunciation isn't always, like, great, and now that I'm learning the grammar, it's not perfect, but people will understand you, and that's all that you really need, right? So, I am learning Greek with a private tutor. It's the only way, um, for me. Like, everybody learns differently, and I need one-on-one, like, attention, so it's gotten cool this week, Margaret. Like, it's chilly today, and I don't think we're going to get any warmer. We might have a little bit of a warm up, but like today it was 21 degrees, which is about 68 degrees Fahrenheit. So the water is probably still somewhat warm, but when you get out, it's cold. So I have not been to Samos. I have not, I mean, I've been to some of the Dodecanese, but I haven't been to all of them. So I went sailing, and the sailing trip was geared towards like really small islands, not the really more popular ones. So we didn't go there. So there's so many places I want to go. I want to go to Skopolel. What is the deal today? Skopelos, Skiathos. I would like to go to Lesbos and Lemnos and all those. So like, I have a lot of islands to hit. I think I'm close to 30 now. I did hit 4 new islands this year. Um, but yeah, and there's also places in the Peloponnese on the mainland that I want to visit. Like I would like to go to Ioannina. There's a region up there called Zagoria, where there's these waterfalls. It's if you see the water in Athens, it says the Gori. That's where it comes from. So um, I'd like to go there. So there's so many places to go and see just in Greece. And of course, there's other places around the world that I want to go see. So the problem is like, um, I there are just too many places to see and not enough time and not enough money, right? Everything costs money. So I am using Duolingo as well, like to supplement. That's what I started with. And while it's not very good about teaching the rules of the grammar, I've learned a lot of vocabulary. Like when I go to my Greek lesson, I think my professor is always like shocked at how much grammar I know because I listen. Part of the lessons is listening to dialogue and like answering questions about it. And he's always shocked. He's like, "Tell me which words you don't know." Sometimes I'm like, "I know all of that." So the good thing about the lesson book is they speak slowly. So the problem is then I go like out into public and I can't understand people because they speak so fast and I can't understand what they're saying. So yeah. Yeah, I want to go to those. Like they look amazing. And the thing is, somebody was asking about it this summer. So I was looking into it for them and like they had canceled one of the ferries and it was super difficult to get to. So okay, we were talking about this, I think, before you got on. We're gonna go sailing down the coast of the Peloponnese, right? So so that's what I wanna do. We'll talk later. Yeah, Tinos has bad roads, like, scary roads. Andros, I didn't think was as bad as Tinos, but, Tinos was like and it wasn't even like I could turn around anywhere because the roads were so narrow, and I feel like in Tinos, everybody that drives there lives there, and so they're just, like, zipping along because 'cause they're so used to them. And I'm like, scares the crud out of me, so yeah, St. George sometimes, but I would say it's closer to the end of town, because St. George, like, at the other end where the windsurfers are, is cold. And actually, I saw a video because 'cause they're having some sort of kite surfing competition there this week, and the wind is just insane. When I first started Duolingo, they kept talking about this pink rice, I think, and it cracked me up. But yeah, Duolingo sometimes teaches you some really weird sentences. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. So all right, good to know. Where in I mean, I know nothing about Samos, so you'd have to tell me. Oh, you're saying where it is. Okay, I'm gonna do my research. So send me an email. Somebody did ask me in the last live how to get a hold of me. You guys can always email me. It's info@agirlandherpassport.com. It's always in the description. Um, if not of this video, of any of the other videos. So I am gonna say goodnight because my voice for some reason is starting to go. It's been doing this a lot lately. So thank you so much for coming, guys. I really appreciate all your questions and jumping in and always asking me these amazing questions and giving me things to think about. So I haven't been to Olenicon yet, but I will end up going once it gets more developed. I've driven past it though. So thanks, you guys. I will see you in next week's video, and there will probably be one more live before the end of the year. I probably won't do one in December because I'll be in the US then, but I will definitely do one in November. So did I? Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, it depends on the wind in Naxos, so yeah. So thank you all. I'm going to wish you Kalinikta and see you soon. Thanks again for coming, and we'll chat again soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.